Welcome everyone to our Sunday afternoon broadcast from East London, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. Today we have with us very special guest who needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him anyway. His Divine Grace Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj. He's the Acharya of North America, the SoCal Seva Ashram in the United States for Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. He is a senior disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, follower of Om Vishnupad Bhakti Rakak Sri Dev Goswami Maharaj, and a dear personal friend and servitor associate of Om Vishnupad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. We don't need to say more than that. Maharaj, we're very happy to have you with us today.
Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalakaya Chakshunudmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurgam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashiswara Shidharam Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patita Nam Pabenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratabhishe Nama. So I wish to express my appreciation to Sri Devashis Prabhu and all the devotees here of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math here in London. I'm happy to be able to be with all of you. And today we're visiting our temple in East London on Green Street. And many times we came here with Srila Govinda Maharaj on his world tours. And certainly those are very wonderful days of our life, when we could pass time with Srila Govinda Maharaj and so many of the devotees here. And the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math is of course, the dear institution, the dear Math established by Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj. We refer to Srila Srila Maharaj as Srila Guru Maharaj. He is so very kind and such a exalted Vaishnava whose teachings are those of a Param Vaishnava. He's a very exalted high Vaishnava, and his teachings are coming through the traveling, the speaking of Srila Govinda Maharaj, who has taken those teachings and added something in sense of his own personal realizations also. So I came in contact with so many devotees of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, like Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Kushamashram Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Ananda Sagar Maharaj, Devashis Prabhu, Sri Devashis Prabhu, and other persons. And found shelter when I came to the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, because we are aspiring to be followers of the Sri Rupanuga line. And that Rupanuga line is presented especially by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was leaving this world. He asked Srila Sridhar Maharaj to sing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, and those present saw Guru Maharaj's responsibility of singing that song as it was a transmission from Srila Saraswati Thakur to Srila Guru Maharaj of the responsibility for being in charge of the Rupanuga line. So we find that in the person of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in his writings, in his songs, so many wonderful compositions like Prabhupada's Stavaka and many songs that Guru Maharaj gave. We find in those, as Srila Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj said, he commented when Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked him that you are going to visit so many of the places of my activities when I was younger, such as where I went to school, where I would go to the Ganga, etc. And Srila Guru Maharaj asked, you are my god brother, why are you doing this? And Krishnadas Kaviraj said that my life I am singing and the verses of Srila Rupa Goswami, and I do not find a difference between what you have written and what he has expressed. So very high, you can say, compliment, how you wish to see it, endorsement of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And certainly we know that what Srila Guru Maharaj has given is that of the most exalted Param Vaishnava. So then when I came, I had the opportunity to be with Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, and he gave me his personal guidance and his friendship, and I was very fortunate, and I feel that my life has become very successful. I'm a fallen soul, I feel, but still I've been in contact with wonderful Vaishnavas, and from them I've gotten so much mercy. So I feel, although I may feel myself to be such, to be not worthy of their friendship, still, when you have the association of such Vaishnavas, then wherever they go, they will drag you with you. They will drag you with them wherever they go. So that is my belief that my life has become successful by being with these wonderful Vaishnavas. And after the disappearance of Srila Govinda Maharaj, myself, Ashram Maharaj, we tried to assist with the mission of Srila Acharya Maharaj. When I would go to India, I would go and stay with him, at first in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, later in the place of Nisringapali that he had built. And my desire was to give some support to Srila Acharya Maharaj. Why? Because I saw that he was named by Srila Govinda Maharaj, and he was under, you can say, under attack by so many persons who my feeling is, could not appreciate what Srila Govinda Maharaj had asked of them, that he asked them to support Srila Acharya Maharaj, and rather so many of them were attacking him. So it was my desire to be faithful to the instructions of my Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and we went there with the idea of giving our support to Srila Acharya Maharaj. So like this, I've passed my whole life in the association of the devotees. When I came to the mission 52 years ago, I was only 25 years old. Now years have passed, and now, at least in the view of the others, now I become elderly. That is something of a something that I do not think of myself in that way. That is, my temperament is that I feel like that of a young person. But Srila Govinda Maharaj said, he commented, although we see Srila Sridhar Maharaj as very, very, very perfect Vaishnava, Srila Govinda Maharaj said that the temperament of Srila Sridhar Maharaj was that of a young boy. He said his humor and he said sometimes Guru Maharaj was like that, very young in his activities and everything. They used to play a game with shlokas, from the scriptures. One person would say a shloka, and then whatever the shloka ended in, the person next, between Govinda Maharaj and Guru Maharaj, the next person would then have to begin the next shloka with the last syllable of that shloka. So as somebody said, Yugai, for instance, if they said, Yugai, what is it? Yugai, Yadharmasha, Glanir Bhavati Bharata, Bhyatanama Dharmasha, Tadatmanam Sri Jamyaham. Then the person would have to begin with the last syllable of that shloka. What is it? Aham sarvashas prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samam vita. Ta. And the next person would have to begin with ta. So Guru Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj would go with that shloka game. With Sanskrit shlokas playing like that. So, like that, my mood, my demeanor is that of, Govinda Maharaj would sometimes say childish. So, I like that. And I actually feel very happy in life, I can say. Like, I remember I was talking to one of my godbrothers when I was in ISKCON, and this Jayadvaita Swami. And he took his mother to see the Taj Mahal. And then he this is kind of like the usual presentation. Then he would say, but the Taj Mahal, what is it? It's from a king, from a Muslim king to his wife, a monument. And he said, and actually there is no love in this material world. It is all just lust. That was the nature of the article. But then I was thinking, if it's all just lust, what was it? What were you doing taking your mother there? Is it your relationship with your mother, just like anybody's relationship with their mother, is one of love? So if you're taking your mother there, and you're saying it's just a monument to lust, and there's nothing but lust in this world, there is no love. But what about your relationship with your mother? Isn't that love? We would consider that to be love. So then what's the understanding? Of course, if I want to be a fanatic brahmacharya or fanatic sannyasi, then I can say there is no love. We spit on the love of this world or whatever. But that is actually not true at all. It's not true at all. And why you're taking your mother there? Because there's a relationship of love. But how will we adjust it then? We will say, because the love of this world has a beginning and an end, in that we are dedicating our love. But then, even then you could say, well, it doesn't have an end because there's the memory of the person after they have departed. So, okay, even in that sense. But I would say the love of this world is actually just an indication, or even we could say a reflection of the love that exists on the eternal plane between the jiva soul and the Lord. We have a loving relationship with the Lord. But we may perceive that here. We may perceive that in this world, just like, for instance, show me. Someone here is wearing jewelry, right? They could show. You could show. They have a stone. Now we can see this stone is sparkling. Some light is coming. Well, what is the light in that stone? It's a reflection of sunlight. Or there's that sparkling is coming, we can say a reflection in this world of some light that's coming from the sun. If there was no sunlight, I don't know. I don't believe they would sparkle so much, the jewels. And we can say, for instance, I'm going outside, and outside is very sunny, and there's sun rays. And there's sun rays are striking my body, and they're giving me warmth. But I'm here in this earth, and I'm getting these sun rays. The sun rays are from this earth or not? No, they're from the sun planet. The sun rays are coming from the sun planet, but I'm able to get those sun rays here. And somebody is going to the beach, and they're lying there and getting so many sun rays, and they're putting on tanning lotion, right? So, but those sun rays, where are they coming from? They're coming from the sun planet, from another place, but they're coming to this earth. So the jiva souls, they're coming from another place, but they're illuminating this world. Because sometimes we'll say, Brahma, Shiva, and Narayan, and we'll say that Brahma's the creator. But we can say that Brahma, maybe you can say he's a creator in the sense of an engineer. But Brahma himself is not injecting the living entities into this world, and it is those living entities that are giving movement, and the creation is actually due to the presence of the jiva souls that are coming into this world. Where are those jiva souls coming? They're coming from the rays of Vishnu. He He's injecting. You know, he's the seed-giving father, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita. Those jiva souls are coming from that, they're coming from the Lord. Someone could say, well, they're coming from the Tatastha plane. Whatever you want to say, they're still the energies of the Lord. They're the energies of the Lord. They're coming ultimately. There's Prakriti, and there's Prakriti, and there's Paraprakriti. So the living beings, they're not Prakriti, they're not mundane, and they are actually what is giving life to the activities of this world. And that's ultimately from the energy of the Lord. There is Bahiranga Shakti, or Maya Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, the Antaranga Shakti, or the, what's another word for the Antaranga Shakti is the internal energy of the Lord. So, Chaitanya Shakti, the Chid Shakti. So, everything in this world, although it may be created, but it is given life by the presence of souls. We are of that energy. So when someone says that there is nothing in this world, we're not the nature of saying that everything is either, that everything in this world is false. That is the position of the impersonalists. They'll say Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, right? That Brahman is real and Jagat Mithya, this world is false, they say. But that's like saying the apple tree is real, but the apples are false. They're coming from that tree. The apple tree is real, then the apples must also be real. We're coming from that divine energy. Then you cannot say this world is false. You cannot say the apple tree is Brahma, Jagat Satya, Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. That's like saying that the apple tree is real, but the apples are false. Does that make any sense? So, we're of that divine nature. And this was one of the things presented very strongly by Srila Maharaj. He's saying that the syllable Om actually means very positive, yes, what you're looking for, that exists. So all of us are looking for something. Why have we come here? What are we looking for? All of us are ultimately looking for something. Would you say when you came to the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mutt, you were looking for something, is it not?
Yes.
Everyone is looking for something. If they're completely satisfied with their mundane existence, then only two persons could be very satisfied with mundane existence. Either a madman or a fool. Is there another definition of someone who could be satisfied with material existence? Beyond madman and fool?
A rock.
Oh, a rock, okay. So, although I don't know how satisfied rocks are. So, I mean, so Guru Maharaj, Srila Srila Maharaj says, Om literally means that what you're looking for, that exists. It's a positive. It's a very positive syllable. It's positive. It means that you are very fortunate. You are looking for something, and what you're looking for, that actually exists. And this recently, just a few days ago, I came back from India, and I hadn't been able to go to India for 3 years, and I was wondering before I went, especially during this time of COVID, was I going to be able to go to India again somewhere in the future for the rest of my life? Because, you know, every week, that was all we were eating, sleeping. Everything we would hear. There was no other news. There was no other news. Maybe an earthquake could swallow a whole continent, and we would hear about the new rise in COVID infections, and then they would say, oh, and by the way, a continent disappeared. That's all we heard about was this news. So I was wondering, am I going to be able to go back to India? But then I was able to go back and do some service there. I had some service. In my eyes, I had some service to do there. So I was able to go to India, but my desire, where did I want to go? Did I want to go to Vrindavan, or did I want to go to Puri, or did I want to go to South India? No, it was very clear to me. I wanted to go to Bengal. That is where I wanted to go, because that is the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if I could go there, if I could go to Navadip, if I could go to Ekachakra, if I could go to, when Govinda Maharaj was present, I'm not very particular. If Govinda Maharaj was in Calcutta, then that was fine to be with Govinda Maharaj. I didn't have to go any further than Calcutta. That was perfectly wonderful for me. So when I had the chance to go back, then we flew into Kolkata airport, and I was very happy landing in Kolkata. I feel like, oh, this is my good fortune. This is my good fortune. And I will always feel that way. And why? Some people, some people criticize Bengal, but I will always think of Bengal as the place of my Gurudev and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the place of our acharyas, and I will always feel so fortunate to be there. That is my feeling. Anyway, I was able to go there. It was a short time. We were going in the month of May. I was thinking, is it going to be tremendously hot? But I've lived in India many years, so I lived through May before, and in all the previous Mays, I didn't die once in any of them. So I figured I could manage to get through May. And thinking was hot, but by the Lord's divine arrangement, it wasn't hot at all. Most of the time, 90% of the time, wasn't hot. There were cool breezes, there was rain, there was thunderstorms. It was actually quite nice. Some days it would be hot, but that's the nature of the weather. It's some days hot, some days cold, but yeah. I remember Srila Govinda Maharaj, he told one time to the followers of Bhakti Sharanga Goswami, Bhakti Sharanga Goswami was coming to the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and Govinda Maharaj was a young brahmachari. So he asked to the disciples of Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj, do you know what your guru will talk about? Do you know the verse that your Gurudev, Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj, do you know the verse he'll begin with? And they said, of course we don't know. How would we know? And Srila Govinda Maharaj was a very young man. And he said, I know. I can tell you what your Gurudev he will begin talking about. And they thought Govinda Maharaj was offensive. How can you say that? But Govinda Maharaj said that I saw that day was inclement. It was raining and the weather was not good. So Govinda Maharaj said he felt that Srila Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj would begin talking about one verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam that says, whether it's a hot day or cold day or rainy day or any day, which when the devotees can be gathered and talking about Harikatha, that is a good day. So he felt that because the weather wasn't good that day, that Srila Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj, of course, knows that verse, and he would come and he would begin with that verse. And he did. He began with that verse. But we also say about Govinda Maharaj, Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavat Premnami Bijapada. Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nam. He knows what is knowable and he knows what is not knowable. What is directly perceivable he knows, and what is existing on a very subtle, intuitive plane, he can also know that. And he did. He's in so many ways. I also experienced that with Govinda Maharaj. I was one time wanting to talk to him, and I asked, can I speak to you? And he said, yes. We were over by Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's Samadhi, and he said, speak, and I said, well, maybe here is not appropriate in this place, many people here. And then he said, okay, we can go to my veranda. And as we were walking to his veranda, he told me, you wish to speak to me about this subject, and you wish to speak to me about this person. And it was not a very, it was not a very knowable subject, and the person was not of central importance. And I said, yes, Maharaj, how do you know that? And he said, well, for something, I'm the Acharya of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. That's how he answered me. But he was very correct. And I hadn't mentioned a word to him about what I wanted to speak about. And he's very perceptive. He could understand. Without me saying anything, he could know what was on my mind. So I feel like that way. Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam. And anyway, with Srila Govinda Maharaj, then he also asked questions which he called his naughty questions, or however you want to put them. He said, in the scriptures it says, when Mahaprabhu is going in Jagannath Puri, and he's with the devotees in the Ratha Yatra, and he's going to the Gundicha temple, and there he's leading the devotees, and he has the mood of Srimati Radharani. Mahaprabhu is what is it? Bahir Krishna Antar Radha. You know, how would you say that? Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahiyanya. He is outwardly, his complexion, he's inwardly, let's get this right for once. Inwardly, he's Krishna, and outwardly has a divine golden color of Srimati Radharani in her Bhavakanti, her mood and her luster. So when he's going to the Gundicha temple, he's in Ratha Yatra, then his mood is that of Srimati Radharani wanting to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. Wanting to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. Krishna left Vrindavan. And the residents of Vrindavan were serving him in separation. So then Srimati Radharani, her mood will be to want to take Krishna back to Vrindavan. And that's the mood of Mahaprabhu in the Ratha Yatra festival. There is Dandavad Dayanidhi, how are you? Good. So there's Nilachala. Nilachala is like Dwarka. There's Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. Now Subhadra's there. Subhadra was never in Vrindavan, but she's in Dwarka. So Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra, Krishna and Balaram and Subhadra there in the Jagannath temple is like Dwarka. But Mahaprabhu is always looking towards Jagannath, and he's not seeing Jagannath, he's seeing Krishna with his flute. But in any event, Nilachala is like Dwarka, and then when the Ratha Yatra is going to Gundicha, that's Sundarachala. Sundarachala is like that of Vrindavan, in the mood of Mahaprabhu is that mood of Srimati Radharani wanting to take Krishna to Vrindavan. And he's dancing and singing ecstatically. But then what about the Punar Ratha Yatra, when they're going back to Jagannath Puri? Mahaprabhu is also singing and dancing ecstatically then. So how will you describe that? If he's ecstatic because he's the mood of Srimati Radharani going to Gundicha, wanting to take Krishna to Vrindavan, then why is he dancing and singing ecstatically when he's going on the return trip back to the Jagannath Puri temple with Jagannath? And he is. Of course, there's an interruption, that of Hema, what is it? Hera Panchami. But on the return Ratha Yatra, Mahaprabhu is also singing and dancing. So that was one of the questions of Govinda Maharaj. He had some questions. He said, okay, Mahaprabhu is singing and dancing, and he is dancing ecstatically going to Gundicha, but he's also singing and dancing ecstatically when he's going back to the Jagannath temple. So supposedly that's going back from Vrindavan to what? To Dwarka. Why would he be dancing and singing ecstatically if he has that mood? What is her name?
Valentina.
Valentina. Oh, she's very, very happy. So why would he be singing and dancing? Of course, Govinda Maharaj never answered that question, but I felt like when I was reading about when Balabhadra Bhattacharya was with Mahaprabhu after he'd taken him through the Jarikhanda and come to Vrindavan, and then Mahaprabhu was ecstatic in Vrindavan, and then Mahaprabhu can't contain his ecstasy, and sometimes he's rolling on the ground, and he's becoming cut with thorns, and sometimes he's submerging himself for many minutes in the Jamuna, especially at the Krura Ghat, thinking that the residents of Vrindavan, when they came to the Krura Ghat, they were able to see, they were able to see the Vaikuntha planets and like that. Anyway, so Mahaprabhu he submerged himself in the Jamuna, and Balabhadra Bhattacharya thought he was Balabhadra. His name Balabhadra Bhattacharya, right? He thought Mahaprabhu was drowning, so he's very worried, and he told to one Sanudiya Brahmin who was with him, and there was another person from Vrindavan who was Rajput Krishnadas, who was a Kshatriya son. Anyway, we have to take Mahaprabhu out of Vrindavan. He may hurt himself. So it's going to be Makara Sankranti soon. Why don't we go to Prayag? We'll go to Prayag for Makara Sankranti. That will be an auspicious time. We'll take Mahaprabhu, so they decided. And Mahaprabhu, when they told him, Mahaprabhu had no desire at all to leave Vrindavan. He was perfectly happy in Vrindavan. But Mahaprabhu said, you brought me to Vrindavan. I am your servant. Whatever you order, I will do. You want to take me out of Vrindavan? Then I'm happy to also follow you, and I will leave Vrindavan. And it says Mahaprabhu, as he was preparing to leave Vrindavan, he was ecstatic. Even though he knows he's leaving Vrindavan, he was ecstatic just thinking about him. Just thinking, now I'm leaving in Vrindavan, and that intense mood of vipralamba, of separation, that would make him ecstatic. So just the thought, I'm leaving Vrindavan, he was ecstatic thinking that I'm leaving Vrindavan. So then when I was reading that, I thought, maybe this is the answer for Srila Govinda Maharaj's question. Mahaprabhu's ecstatic going to the Gundicha temple, then why is he singing and dancing ecstatically when he's returning to the Jagannath Mandir? And I was thinking, well, just the thought that he's leaving Vrindavan also would make Mahaprabhu ecstatic. As he was leaving Vrindavan, the thought he was leaving Vrindavan, he was ecstatic. So I thought, if this is not the correct answer, at least it's good enough for me to think that it's a good answer. So I was, and some other questions Govinda Maharaj would ask, I would think about that. His famous question was that what was his one question about the Lord in Brahman? Do you remember his question?
No.
Oh, he's saying, I can't remember the questions. It's Govinda Maharaj's humor, though. Maybe one of our readers or listeners will tell about that. So my divine association was that of first with Srila Prabhupada, then I came to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhardev Goswami Maharaj. And even though that Srila Govinda Maharaj was then in charge, I asked Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj for a name. And he gave me the name, Bhakti Pavan Janardan. So I was happy with that name. Contact with Srila Guru Maharaj, then many years of contact with Srila Govinda Maharaj. And what is a comment I once heard that says that
One more question, Maharaj.
yes,
Your name is Pavan Janardan, Maharaj. So you are still flying around with acting.
was that
Pavan Janardan, you can control Pavan. Pavan.
Means like Vayu,
Vayu,
Pavan,
like
the
Vayu.
wind god. You're flying like Vayu around the world.
But that's not what the Pavan refers to. Bhakti Pavan. Pavan means savior, who is saving. I'm not flying around. I am flying around. But
If we have to fly, we think of virus.
but
A lot of other
but Govinda that name was given by Guru Maharaj, but Govinda Maharaj explained it. He says, Bhakti Pavan Janardan means one who saves the people by giving them the Ragmarg conception of Krishna. That's what he said. He said, one who saves the people, Bhakti Pavan, who saves the people by giving them the Ragmarg conception of Krishna. So the Bhakti Pavan, refers to that, the Ragmarg conception of Krishna. So he told in that way. So, and then he told me the syllables are.
How's your health, Maharaj?
Yeah, and this is Sudevi. Sudevi, your name is Sudevi? You are Sudevi?
Maharaj's
Sudevi?
memory is very short.
Very nice. How old are you, Sudevi? 3 or 4? 3. Very nice.
Do you remember the name of Maharaj?
I was here 3 years ago, so she couldn't remember. She couldn't remember so much of that. When she was just very little when I was here last time. Sudevi.
Maybe 1 year.
Yeah. Maybe 1 year.
Maharaj Raga Bhakti, can you?
Ragmarg Bhakti. There's Vaidhi Bhakti and there's Ragmarg Bhakti. So I'm not on the plane of Ragmarg Bhakti, but it's my worshipable plane of Bhakti. That is Vaidhi Bhakti. Govinda Maharaj said about Westerners, he said, we are Westerners. He said, we cannot practice. He said, you cannot practice Vidhi Bhakti because you cannot pronounce all the mantras. So how could you practice Vidhi Bhakti if you cannot even pronounce the mantras? We can't pronounce the mantras. But then somebody could say, oh, but then you're practicing Ragmarg Bhakti. No, but it is our worshipable ideal. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, a person is known according to their ideals. So that our ideal is that of spontaneous love, of genuine affection for the Lord. That's our ideal. We may not have attained that ideal. Because, as I said, nobody will say, I have attained that ideal. Vaishnavas, the natural sentiment of a Vaishnava is to think, I'm a fallen soul. Nobody will think I'm a master. Everyone will think I'm a fallen soul. That is the natural feeling of a Vaishnava. No one who's actually a real substance will think I'm a master or I'm accomplished or I know something. Rather, we think I don't know anything, I'm a fallen soul. That will be the natural sentiment. Even Mahaprabhu said that. Mahaprabhu said, he said, I am no love for Krishna. Then why are you always crying for Krishna? All these tears are coming from your eyes. He said, That's only to cheat the innocent public. That is only to cheat people. Actually, he said, what is the proof I have no love for Krishna? He said, if I had love for Krishna, I would have died a long time ago. That's how Mahaprabhu expressed it. But he said, what is it, Premno? Yeah, he says, I have no love, I have no prema, Ganda. I don't know the whole verse. I have no love for Krishna. Everything you're saying is imitation. But I don't have to say that. I can say genuinely, I have no love for Krishna. And I can say, I'm a fallen soul. Govinda Maharaj could say that out of humility. I don't have to strain myself very much to say that. She was here before, sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 7 months.
7 months. She's had grains. She's eaten grains.
She had here the ceremony.
Okay. Anyway, does anyone have any questions? Maybe after the questions, I'll get back to whatever I started to say.
One more question.
Yeah?
Your body gets old, but your soul is saying, I want to do this, I want to do that.
That what?
And it's not compatible both.
Not competitive?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very.
I mean, your soul is thinking, you do, but your body is putting you back.
Well, when I was in school, when I was young, I was very competitive. I wasn't thinking so much of getting an education, I was thinking of defeating everybody. So that was my mood in school and grades and everything. It was very competitive, but not necessarily thinking in terms of acquiring wisdom or getting an education, but of being competitive. Now that I've gotten older, maybe I'm thinking I'm not so competitive because I really don't desire to attain anything. I'm not trying to compete with other people, you know? Like, I'm thinking of when the Digvijay Pandit came and he challenged Rup Sanatan Goswami. He wanted to challenge them to debate. And they said, you have a list of people you defeated? Yes, this is a list of all the people I've defeated. Give it to us, we'll sign. They signed it. And why? They didn't want to waste their time. Why should we waste our time competing with this Digvijay Pandit to see who's a bigger scholar? But Jiva Goswami, his mood was different. He said, you have the signatures of Rup and Sanatan Goswami, then I challenge you. And he challenged that Digvijay Pandit and defeated him. Now I've defeated you, give me the list. And then he tore the list up. Well, why he challenged that person? Because that person had the signature of Rup Sanatan Goswami. He did not accept that such a foolish person as that could say that he had defeated Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. So he said, I'll defeat you. He defeated him and he asked, now give me the list, and he tore up the list. But then later, Rupa Goswami said to Jiva Goswami, why you have done that? You have done that? Why? You are driven by ego to do that? Then you are not fit to live in Vrindavan, right? So then Jiva Goswami went away and he's fasting. But then Sanatana Goswami said, what is Mahaprabhu's teaching? What is Mahaprabhu's teaching? He's saying, teachings are Namaruchi, the chanting of the holy name, Vaishnava Seva, and Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Doya. And he said, isn't that? And Rupa Goswami said, yes. And he says, so Jiva Doya, mercy to the Jivas. But there is Jiva Goswami, and he's fasting to death. So where's the mercy for that Jiva? Then Rupa Goswami went to get Jiva Goswami. Because it was not Jiva Goswami, Jiva Goswami didn't defeat that Digvijay Pandit out of pride. He did so because he could not tolerate that they would insult his Gurudevs, Rupa and Sanatan. Many things are there that one has to understand. But anyway, I have no reason to anymore be competitive. I cannot eat. You know, my days of eating have kind of passed. Before Srila Govinda Maharaj used to joke about me. He said when you know, there's a verse about all these, when you do this, think of that person. When you do this, think of that person. Forms of Vishnu, and it says, when you eat, think of Janardan. You know, when eating, think of Janardan. So Govinda Maharaj used to joke about that and say how I like to eat. But now I'm old, and I cannot eat so much. Now I cannot hear properly. Someone says to me something, I have to ask them to repeat it. I cannot hear properly. I cannot eat so much. I cannot eat. Then I went for my driving test, and I thought, oh, it says on my license I need to have corrective vision. So let me take the eyesight test without glasses, so I won't have to have this thing that says I need corrective vision to drive. So they have the chart where the biggest letters on the top. So the man said, read the top, take off your glasses. I took off my glasses. Read the top line. I'm going, where? Where? E or O? He said, put back on your glasses. He said, he said, you need glasses to drive. At least he didn't say, well, you know, I'm thinking about maybe you don't even need to drive. But so I cannot see properly, I cannot hear properly, and even I cannot eat so much anymore. So I'm not competitive anymore. I feel I'm too old to be competitive. Who am I going to compete with? Other old people? Who can?
After 70 mark, they take another eye test.
Huh?
Whether your eyesight is okay. Right.
Yeah, I'm after 70.
They ask you to read crop line.
Yeah, well, after I was 70, I had to take a whole new driver's test because to see if you're senile or not. You're senile or
I'm disabled.
huh?
I'm a disabled driver.
You're a disabled driver?
I can drive, but I'm a disabled.
But you may hit objects.
Yeah, due to my health and medical.
You may drive, but you may hit people. So, were there any? You're going now. Oh no.
No.
Are there any questions? Do you have any questions? You're okay? All right.
This is our friend Lakshmi. This is her husband, Akinchan Prabhu.
A kinship. Can you toss me that? You see that? That, yeah. Okay. This will be. I'll just here, get this up. No, one is enough. Any other questions? This is just to emphasize a point.
Maharaj, you were talking about Gurudev's glories, our Gurudev's glories, and maybe just a little bit of advice on how can we properly convey our Gurudev's glories to others who have not heard about our Gurudev's glories. It's a difficult thing for us.
If you would just try to give mercy to, you have gotten something from Gurudev, so you try to give mercy to others, those persons who don't know about devotional service and don't know about the glories of the chanting of the holy name. If you just try to, if you just try to give Gurudev's mercy to others, then you will be able to glorify Gurudev. That will be. They will ask you, where have you heard this? And you will say, I have heard this from my Gurudev. It's naturally that will happen. But we're not, that will happen naturally in a conversation with, especially with other devotees. Like I started today, I had no idea what I was going to speak about. And I said something about Govinda Maharaj because I'm here in the temple, and this is a temple which I mentioned. Srila Govinda Maharaj, I came here many times to Green Street with Srila Govinda Maharaj. And I remember Govinda Maharaj's being here and looking out the window. You remember, he would see. And they were selling across the street hot dogs. Do you remember that? He was selling hot dogs, and Govinda Maharaj asked, do they ever sell hot cats?
Vegetarian hot dog?
No.
No, these are out and out meat hot dogs. We're not living in a vegetarian world, and this part of East London, this is not vegetarian East London. They're not vegetarian at all. A lot of the people here are Bangladeshis. They're Bangladeshis and
Pakistan.
Pakistanis also, but they're not from our part of Bangladesh. So,
They can give up everything.
and they're not selling vegetarian hot dogs. They're selling unvegetarian hot dogs. But Govinda Maharaj asked, do they ever sell hot cats? They were selling hot dogs. He said, do they ever sell hot cats.
We used to have the football ground used to be here, West Ham United. So when they had the football match, they would put up all these hot dog and burger vans outside.
And you, if you had the window open, you get the nice smell. This nice smell coming in of hot dogs and burgers. And sometimes there would even be people sitting on the steps here eating hot dogs and burgers. And you might think, can you share that with us too? But we didn't ask.
Maharaj, I have a question, like, that you told that in this world, material, we have lust, that is materialistic, and we have love also. So how we can differentiate from lust to and love, and how we can get pure love, where we can get pure love?
Well, you have children, right?
Yes.
And they have love for you and their father. So there's some love there. We'll perceive that. But I'm thinking whatever I see in this material world, it may be it may be a reflection, it may be a perverted reflection, it may be a very perverted reflection of what is going on in the spiritual world. But I can understand that. But the truth is, I'm not really looking for so much in this material world. It's like, for instance, there is a story of a man who had lost the keys to his car. So he's looking for his keys. And he's looking in a particular place because there's a street light there. And somebody says, "You're looking for your keys?" "Yes." "You're looking for something?" "Yes. I lost my keys, so I'm looking for them." "So did you lose them here?" "No, I didn't lose them here." "Then why are you looking here?" "Because there's light here, I can see here. But where I lost them, that's dark, so I'm not looking for them there." I mean, so why shall I look for something in the wrong place? He's looking for his keys, but not where he lost them. He's looking for his keys because, oh, there's light there. So what I lost is not something in this world. I didn't lose something in this material world. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, if this whole world is on fire, you don't even have the responsibility of throwing a bucket of water on it. You may think, can I find some real love in this world? And I'll say, yes. Be satisfied with what you have in this world. You have love in your family. You have love with your friends. You may have love for humanity. You may have love for everything. But still, that is not the real love that we're looking for. We're looking for that which is going to be an eternal relationship with the Lord. So that is what we're looking for. I'm not trying to get something out of this world. I came into this world, well, they say I came with nothing and I'll leave with nothing. So what am I trying to get out of this world? Nothing. I'm here now, and there's a good opportunity. I can use all my energy and all my time and energy. I can use that to serve the Lord and establish a relationship with the Lord and His devotees, and that's good enough for me. And in the process, you'll find so much satisfaction in your life. You'll have very much satisfaction in your life with those who are loved by you, and with the devotees. the servitors of the Lord, and everywhere you go, you'll feel happy. You'll feel happy. Anyway, that's what I'm feeling. Everywhere I go, I'm not trying to. The times I came to London, okay, the devotees wanted to take me to to Hampton Court. I went to Hampton Court. So was that worthwhile? Yes, the devotees took me there, so it was happy. So I was happy to pass the day there with the devotees. Was it inspiring to me? Well, it was inspiring to be with the devotees, and they were happy, and I was happy. We're happy. What did I think of? What was my general impression of Hampton Court? From the time before I knew the devotees, my impression of Europe and England was like playing in some old lady's backyard. It was like being in some old lady's backyard. Everything's so old. Everything's so old, and it's so small, especially when you're Belgium, Amsterdam, so many of these countries, you go 100 meters in one direction, you're in another country. Yeah. So it was like my impression was, okay, maybe somebody would say, that's not a very good impression of Europe. And I'd say, okay, I'm not very good at impressions, but that was my feeling. So what was my feeling about Hampton Court? Kind of boring. I just went to somewhere where somebody chopped off the heads of a bunch of his brides. That's not very inspiring. English countryside. Very interesting. I mean, yeah, exactly how I felt. And if I go to India, if I go to Navadip, if I go to Vrindavan, those are wonderful places. You could say, why? They're Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's just an old book. No, it's not an old book. It's not an old book at all. It's a very wonderful, beautiful, living book. And when I'm with Govinda Maharaj, looking at him and his activities was like looking through the pages of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I'm seeing Govinda Maharaj's humor, his activities, his food, everything, like something from this. Like I'm looking into the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'm looking to see whether the activities of the Lord and His servitors, and I'm very happy. And I don't know. You keep on reading over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, many times, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And each time it's wonderful, it's fascinating. But Hampton Court, not exactly like that. But why I was happy, just like I could say, like Jayadvaita could say, he took his mother to the Taj Mahal, but it's just a monument of lust. But no, it's not just a monument of lust. You took your mother there. It's a monument. You took your mother there, and it was an activity of love that you took your mother to the Taj Mahal. So, Hampton Court, the devotees took me out of there out of love, out of some feeling of love. There's some friendship and love they had, and they took me to Hampton Court. So I had a nice day in Hampton Court. Just hope we get this.
This is inside. Shall I break it?
No, don't break it off. See, the garlands, the flowers are heavy, and then they go to the bottom, and then the string.
Cuts in your neck.
Yeah. Go with this. Beautiful flowers. Any other questions?
How can
we teach our children proper Krishna consciousness?
What's that?
How can we teach our children that proper Krishna consciousness and follow them? How can they refrain from all the material, the Western culture or everything?
I don't know. You'll do the best you can, and according to also your sukriti, their sukriti, they'll get something, and maybe they won't get something. But you're giving some faith to their heart, and that will always be a benefit for them. So maybe later they'll choose. Well, they may choose to be devotees, or they may choose to just not. They may have some feeling in their heart and some faith, but they may not want to go to the temple. I've seen many of the children become like that. They don't want to go to the temple. Or if they go to the temple, they want to play outside with their other friends. And then sometimes when they grow up, they may not have so much desire to go to the temple. And part of the reason is that I remember Srila Maharaj, she said, bhakti by force is no bhakti at all. So if you force them to do it, then they'll have less desire to do so. If you force them to go to the temple, well, maybe that's good for them, that somebody will take them to the temple, and sometimes at the temple they'll see other children, they'll play with them. But if you force them, like Govinda Maharaj said, he would sometimes give Harinam to children who were 4 years old, 5 years old. And then he said, but you have to chant 4 rounds a day. And then he said, and if they will not chant 4 rounds a day, you must chant 4 rounds for them, to the parents, he said. Because why? Because if you say to them, you chant 4 rounds a day, or you or a symphony. He said, you chant 4 rounds a day, or you don't eat today. Then they'll think, chanting the holy name is, I'm being forced to do it, or I have to fast, I can't eat. So, what kind of a rule is that? If you don't chant 4 rounds, you can't eat. Well, then they'll grow up thinking, oh, so many days I had to go to bed without food because I was hungry, because of this chanting of the holy name. So, So how will you teach your children? Out of love, by love and affection. And if they get something good, and if they don't show that they like it for some years, maybe later on they'll like it. But your duty as a parent is to try to give some faith to your daughter. And out of love you'll teach her, and she'll become happy. But not to force. If you don't chant, you cannot have a chapati. Anyway, by love and affection, you'll communicate with your children. But Guru Maharaj said, bhakti by force is no bhakti at all. So now 2:20. Time.
A few minutes. I think Ishwari wanted to ask something.
How can somebody go so fast on a little street like this?
30 miles speed limited.
Huh?
It's only 30 miles per limited. They're going 50.
Going very fast.
Oscar.
Maharaj, you just went to India.
And that was the police. Somebody went very fast, and now you heard. What was the reaction? Police car is after them.
The karma is behind him.
Huh?
The karma is behind him.
He went fast. I think it was a motorcycle, though, wasn't it? Whoever it was went fast, and then the police car was going fast. All right.
Maharaj, you just went to India and established Nirha Maharaj. How was it?
It was very nice. Actually, Bhakti Tilak Nariya Maharaj, he's a very nice Vaishnava.
Yeah.
He's very, very sweet natured. I was there. We on the, what was it, on the on that the day of the festival, Akshaya Tritiya, which was the 3rd of May. Then we established, and so many sannyasis
Yes.
came there. More than 30 some sannyasis. About 40 sannyasis were there. 800 people, and Tarkeshwar's not, not that big. There were so many people there, and Nirya Maharaj, she's a very nice Vaishnava. So, was happy there, and I think he's a humble Vaishnava. I think he'll do very nicely. And on the 15th was Nrsimha Chaturdasi, but I didn't want to go all the way to Nrsimha Pali. We were 200 some, maybe 200 some kilometers away or something like that. I don't know how far, but a long way. Anyway, and then it turns out Nrsimha Chaturdasi is Niriya Maharaj's birthday, appearance day. He told me his appearance day was, I think, May 27th of 1991. And that's Nrsimha Chaturdasi. So then I said, well, we're all fasting on Nrsimha Chaturdasi, so we'll celebrate your appearance day on the next day because we're fasting. So we'll celebrate on Buddha Purnima. And Buddha Purnima, and I think that is Purnima, I think maybe, what else is happening on Buddha Purnima? Srinivasacharya's appearance day, and also the disappearance day of which Parameshwara.
Yes.
Maharaj, if
So didn't you come to the met the devotees on which day? Srivas Thakur's appearance day? Okay, so this was Srinivasacharya's appearance day on Buddha Purnima. Anyway, we celebrated Nariya Maharaj's appearance on that day. He appeared on Nrsimha Chaturdasi, but I thought we decided better to have a celebration when it's not a fast day, when it's not an upavas. Nrsimha Chaturdasi upavas. So we celebrate the next day on Purnima. But the devotees did Guru Puja to him on Nrsimha Chaturdasi. Right? But he's a very nice Vaishnava. That was my purpose in going to India, to establish Niriya Maharaj as Acharya Maharaj's successor. And I thought it was especially important for India, because there's so much cheating going on in India. Since Govinda Maharaj left, there's about 10 different gurus initiating there. But, so I thought we will establish Nariya Maharaj and that will be good. And that was very successful. And all these sannyasis drove from Navadip and Mayapur in the rain over 2 hours to get to Tarakeshwar for the celebration. Some of them knew very well to Acharya Maharaj, And some of them also knew well to Niriya Maharaj because he's been serving Acharya Maharaj for some years. He's been sannyas more than 8 years or so. And they knew Niriya Maharaj, and some of them didn't know Niriya Maharaj, but in any event, they all came and they gave their blessings to Niriya Maharaj. And some persons are saying, oh, so now he's the Acharya of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And I'm just saying, I'm seeing him as Srila Acharya Maharaj's successor. I'm not saying he's Acharya of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. If somebody wants to see it that way, they can see it that way. But I myself say, devotees all came together, gave blessings and worship to him as Srila Acharya Maharaj's successor. Because I think that's necessary. I think it's necessary that Acharya Maharaj has a successor, and the successor should be his disciple, and Niriya Maharaj is his disciple. And I'm thinking things won't go wrong because Niriya Maharaj is a nice Vaishnava. So if you have somebody who's a humble, nice Vaishnava, what can be the problem? That was my thinking. Now from here, all right, now we establish this. Now all the rest, everyone else, now they can start fighting. Now they can start fighting and start accusing each other of this and this. But as far as I'm concerned, this was our purpose. We went there, we had solved that purpose. And as I said, I didn't need another motivation because I was very happy just going back to India. The fact that I was going back to India after 3 years, I hadn't been there. I'm used to going to India every Gaur Purnima. I was used to going every Gaur Purnima to India. Govinda Maharaj told me, go every Gaur Purnima to India. Now, I don't know how much I can do of that in the future because my health is not so good, but I will still want to go to India. So what I can do in the future, I'll see. But this time, I was able to go there and I was happy. And so, what can I tell you? Devotees that wish, who follow Acharya Maharaj, they can put Niriya Maharaj's picture on the altar as they desire. And those, like for myself, I don't say this in a bad mood, but I already have 7 Acharya pictures on the altar. I have Jagannath Das Babaji. I have Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I have Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. I have Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I have Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. I have Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. I have Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj. I have all their pictures on the altar. So am I going to add another picture? Not at this particular moment. Personally, I'm not. Somebody could say, why? You're deviating. Okay, I'm deviating, whatever. But not at this particular moment. Because I don't have, I had to take one deity off the altar just to be able to have room for all the Acharya pictures. Yeah, literally. So now, and then they put my picture and Ashram Maharaj's picture. So I'm thinking more pictures. I'm going to keep adding more pictures. Like Guru Maharaj said, Vyasa-sans, from the mountains to the sea. But many persons have told me, all right, we've already put Niriya Maharaj's picture on the altar. And I say, that's very good. It's very nice you've done that. That's fine. And say, and if they ask me, you'll put his picture on the altar, I'll say, well, wait a while. We'll wait a little while. But I have great hope for him. That he's young, he's enthusiastic, and he gives respect and honor to the senior Vaishnavas. So I think that's very good.
Maharaj, is it true that knowledge has to come from the childhood, what you are interested?
What?
Like Nirha Maharaj is young and he's got a knowledge and everything, as you say.
Yeah,
Instead of forcing the people.
he actually preaches nicely, I've heard. Of course, he's speaking in Bengali, so I don't understand everything he says, but what he says in English, I understand. That's good. And, you know, I'm saying the matter of it's a question with my God brothers. We'll see how things evolve. But I went there to India to, you know, have this Akshaya Tritiya to establish Niriya Maharaj as Acharya Maharaj's successor. And I arranged for Ashram Maharaj to go, and for Puri Maharaj, Bhakti Mandava Puri Maharaj, and for Pitambar, who's my disciple, I arranged for all of them to go because, you know, wanted Ashram Maharaj and Puri Maharaj there, and they went, and everything went very nicely. I mean, I think it was ecstatic, so that's my feeling. Did you want to ask any other?
Like Prahlad Maharaj was very young and he was very dedicated.
Yeah,
So he used to come from the...
he's 30. He's 31 years old, so you can say that's very young. But many, for instance, in Bengal, many people know Jayapataka Swami, right? I think he became a guru when he was 29. He's still going. He's still going, and in ISKCON, he's a very good guru and a very good preacher. In Bengal, now he had some accent, you know, with that stroke, but the people in Bengal love him. They love him. They loved that he could speak. You know, everybody else who would go there would speak Sadhu Bhasha, and none of the Bengalis would so much. Only educated Bengalis would understand Sadhu Bhasha, but the regular people, they don't speak Sadhu Bhasha. That's like me I'm coming to England, so I speak, you know, English according to Canterbury Tales or something like that. I'm speaking Middle English or Old English, you know. Now, if I speak Middle English or Old English, are you going to understand that? If I start conjugating the verbs like they did in those times, you know. I can't even remember some things, but I read Canterbury Tales. Nobody speaks like that. Nobody understands that unless there's some kind of Shakespearean scholar or Middle English scholar or something like that. They don't understand that English. So people in Bengal, they don't understand. Only very educated people speak or understand Sadhu Bhasha. They all speak Chalik Bhasha, right? Huh? So Jayapataka, he could speak Chalik Bhasha and people understood him and they liked him. Whereas the Chutananda and other persons, they didn't. They spoke Sadhu Bhasha and people weren't so... And even this, what's his name? Bhakti Kamal Tyagi Maharaj. He didn't speak Chalik Bhasha. He didn't speak modern Bengali. He did? No.
Yes, Bengali speaking.
But people, they liked Jayapataka. He became a guru when he was 29. And people followed him and liked him. Nirya Maharaj is 31. He's not so young. It's not like 31. Oh, he's a baby. That's- How old are you? Huh?
22 Maharaj.
32.
22.
22. Okay. So somebody's 31. I don't think of them as a baby. I don't even think of somebody as 22 as being a baby. But you're young. But somebody's 31, I don't think they're. I mean, people who are 31, they can be head of a company, right?
Big director,
Huh?
big company director.
Yeah. So anyway,
Maharaj, so in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gadadhar Pandit, but the Gadadhar is the Radharani, is it incarnation of Radharani? Why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it was not presented much about Gadadhar?
about Gadadhar Pandit,
Yeah.
there is quite a bit about Gadadhar Pandit. I mean, throughout the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's mention of Gadadhar Pandit. But Mahaprabhu's, Gadadhar Pandit, one thing is, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, she spoke about the relationship between Gadadhar Pandit and Mahaprabhu. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has the Baba Kanti of Srimati Radharani. Or as the book is called, the book titles it, Heart and Halo. And Gadadhar Pandit is intimate disciple of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is always going to the temple of Tota Gopinath to hear from Gadadhar Pandit. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in his introduction to his verses that he wrote, he said, Arka Marichi Mala, is it? Was written by, what is it? Bhakti
Bhagavad
Vinod
Arka Marichimala.
Bhagavad Arka Marichi Mala. What is it? How many verses? 100 verses? Or,
I think it's more than or maybe 300 verses.
okay, maybe 300 verses. And then Guru Maharaj was going to write it in less verses. Does anyone have, maybe you could look up in your phone.
You could. That's what's recording you.
What is
do you
it?
need?
The book.
Heart in, not Heart in Halo. Golden Volcano of Divine Love. I don't think it's there. Oh, there it is, here. There's a nice verse that Guru Maharaj wrote. I'll read what it says here. Of course, this doesn't answer your question, but it's still nice. He says, I once began writing a book which was to be a summary study of the 18,000 verse Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Vinod Thakur condensed the whole Bhagavatam principle into 1,000 verses. 1,000 verses in his Bhagavad Arka Marichi Mala. I had a mind to consolidate even more to represent it within 300 verses. I began that book, but could not finish it. Srimad Bhagavatam is a vast treatise in the Sanskrit language filled with essential information, historical reference, and expositions on the major schools of philosophy. In Srimad Bhagavatam, many minor points of history and geography are also mentioned, which, although non-essential, support its conclusions. Whatever is unnecessary in Srimad Bhagavatam is eliminated when its meaning reaches its purest and most intensified glory in the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we were to consider the very gist of Srimad Bhagavatam, we must study the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just as the teachings of the great author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, were percolated, everybody who drinks coffee knows about that. Just as the teachings of the great author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, were percolated by the realizations of Sukadeva Goswami, the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam has been percolated or made more intense by the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, because the teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu represent the gist of Srimad Bhagavatam, I would like to include here one of the verses I originally composed to introduce my summary study. It glorifies the position of Gadadhar Pandit, the most intimate associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar used to read Srimad Bhagavatam in Jagannath Puri at the Tota Gopinath temple. He would read in Sriman Mahaprabhu, and the great devotees like Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy were his audience. Nilam Bodhi Tate Sada Svaviraha Shepan Vitam Bandavam Srimad Bhagavati Katha Madiraya Sanjeevayan Bhaktiyaha Srimad Bhagavatam Sada Sva Nayanashru Payanai Pujayan Goswami Prabharo Gadadhar Vibhur Bhuyat Mad Ekagati. On the shore of the broad blue ocean, Gadadhar Pandit used to read Srimad Bhagavatam to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was suffering from the great internal pain of separation from himself, Krishna. Gadadhar Pandit supplied the wine of Krishna Leela to intoxicate his afflicted friend and give him relief. As he read, tears would fall from his eyes like flower offerings onto the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. May the pleasure of that brilliant personality, Gadadhar Pandit, the best of the Goswamis, be my only object in writing this book. So that's the verse that Guru Maharaj wrote in glorification of Gadadhar Pandit. Now, Guru Maharaj described the relationship between Gadadhar Pandit and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being like the relationship between a man and a thief who has stolen his property. Now, Mahaprabhu was born on the Purnima, and he has the Bhavakanti of Radharani. Gadadhar Pandit was born on the Amavasya day, and his property has been stolen by Mahaprabhu, so he's always running after Mahaprabhu. And that is the relationship, and that is there seen in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So then, when Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Pandit ran after him and wanted to go with him. And then Mahaprabhu told Gadadhar Pandit, you can't go with me because you have a vow of Kshetra Sannyas to stay in Jagannath Puri, and you have service to Gopinath, that you have service that you are worshiping Gopinath. So you cannot break your vow of Kshetra Sannyas, and you cannot give up your service to Gopinath to come with me. And then Gadadhar said, well, then I will not go directly with you. I will go by another path, but I'm going to Vrindavan anyway. So then he traveled on further, and when they got to, I guess, where did they arrive to? Cuttack? Or, I don't remember exactly.
Cuttack Hill.
Cuttack.
Cuttack Parva.
maybe there. But anyway, then Mahaprabhu again met with Gadadhar Pandit, who had traveled by a different path, and he said, you already have succeeded in breaking your vow of Chitra Sannyas, and you've already given up your worship. And he said, so I don't want to hear any more about this. You just go back to Puri. You go back to Puri. That there's no discussion. I order you go back to Puri. And then Gadadhar Pandit returned to Puri. And then Srila Guru Maharaj said, so the Queen of Vrindavan, because Gadadhar Pandit is the incarnation, you could say, of the Shakti potency of Srimati Radharani. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is worshipping Gaur Gadadhar. So the Queen of Vrindavan denied entrance into Vrindavan. That is what so this relationship always existed between Gadadhar Pandit running after Mahaprabhu as a man running after someone who has stolen his property. That's how Srila Sridhar Maharaj has described it, and in his book Heart and Halo you can read about that. But anyway, maybe there's more emphasis on Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's not like that Krishna Das Kaviraj doesn't speak about Gadadhar Pandit. He does. He speaks about Gadadhar Pandit. Anyway, beyond that, I don't have an answer for your question. So that's as much as I can answer. So, but the purpose of Krishna Das Kaviraj is to actually establish Srila Rupa Goswami. That's his purpose. So now we'll just end here because it's getting late.
Yes.
Do we have Arti?
Yes.
Can we sing Hari Haraya first?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. Might as well. We can do that. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama.
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan.
Giridhari Gopinath Madanama.
Giridhari Gopinath Madanama.
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra.
Janardan Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Janardan Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath.
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath.
H.I. Gosai Gauri Charana Bhaja.
Jai Gosai Gauri Charana Bhaja.
Jai Te Vijnana Shabishta Puran.
Naha Hote Vijnana Shabisa Puran.
H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas.
Jai Gosai Garmui Taradas.
Tasamar Pada Renu Mora Panchagram.
Samara Pada Renu Mora Panchagram.
Kadir Chanana Sevi Bhakta Sanibhas.
Tadera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sannivaas.
Janame Janame More Abhilash.
Janame Janame More Abhilash.
H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koyabas.
Jai Gosai Jabe Bhakti Koyabas.
Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Gauri Labhaka.
Radha Krishna Nitya
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.